Two truths and a lie, can you guess which is which? Tune and lean and don't you dare miss a pitch. It's Joseph Jab, not famous, but you'll see. We twist, we turn in search of reality.
Two truths and a lie. Okay, so are you ready?
Let's do it.
The first fact about you is that you bartered your way across 5 different countries using only a single Swiss Army knife as your trading asset. Tell us about that story, Neal.
So I've got a lot of global travel underneath my belt. Anyone who's following my social media, sees I've been many places. And I had seen a TV show about this a long time ago, about when they started to like barter for stuff in the United States. And I was like, I bet you could do it even better in Europe because people are just more friendlier and open to these things. And so it started off in Prague with my Swiss Army knife. It started as a bet, actually, between a couple of friends. And we said, all right, let's start with Swiss Army knife because we're in Prague. Maybe they don't have them here. And sure enough, they thought it was super cool to have a Swiss Army knife. And so we bartered up over and over again, got to the point where we were able to barter for a train ticket, and then went over to Germany after that. And we had gotten a backpack as part of our deals along the way. We actually traded the backpack for meals and to borrow somebody's car. Then that person was hooked on this idea that we were doing this. So then we became a gang of 3 people. And we just kept on trading. And we made it all the way up to a pair of bicycles. And we're able to bike through pieces of London, and just laugh the whole entire way about like how crazy this was, that the vehicles that we were riding on wasn't even ours, and yet we made it all the way from Prague all the way to London, and hadn't spent a dime of our own money other than to buy water along the way and stuff like that.
Well, I will tell you, with your military background, it sounds believable to me, but I'm not the one voting. If you want to vote on this, just go to bit.ly/2T1L, 2 truths and 1 lie _ Neal Conlon. And who knows, you might just win a prize or something special. So go ahead and vote. You've got to find out the other 2, either truths, lies, etc. Neal, I will tell you that I don't know if you're familiar with the one red paperclip. Are you familiar with that story?
No, what is?
Well, it's actually not a story at all. I wrote about the one red paperclip probably in my book, Join the Conversation, back in 2007. It was a story, and I forget his name, but he started with one red paperclip and bartered it all the way to a house. So wow. he ended up with a house, and it all began with one red paperclip. So story number 1, well, I say story number 1, these are fun facts. This could be the truth. Here's something else about Neal. He talks about plant medicine, but this is very weird because I don't know how black and white. This is probably under the influence of plant-based medicine, but you've sat in over a dozen ayahuasca ceremonies. Does that mean that you oversaw the ceremonies, or you actually were partaking in them?
It's a mix at this point. So several years ago, I felt when I think the internet started talking about ayahuasca, and I became very intrigued. I had participated in a bunch of other personal development and mindset conferences and stuff like that, and really wasn't getting to the root of what it was. That kept on, I don't know, itching at me. And so I sat in my first ceremony several years ago. I can't do the math because of 2020. I never know how to count it. And interestingly enough, that was the thing that did it for me. With proper facilitation and integration work afterwards, it was really, really beneficial for me. About a year or 2 later, I felt drawn back to it again. I had another itch I had to scratch, so to speak, and came out of one of those ceremonies, and I was like, wow, this is one of the things that I think a lot of people really struggle with, because of the narrative around it. And at that point started to work with a group of people who were facilitators. And ultimately, here we are, fast forward 2023, and I've sat and facilitated in probably a little bit more than a dozen, but a dozen seems like the good, nice round number.
Well, I'll tell you what, I will absolutely come with you bartering across Europe. I'm not sure that I will be plunged into the uncomfortable, abyss of one of your retreats. I am definitely game to join you for an ayahuasca ceremony. But one thing I'm definitely not going to do is join you on and in an Ironman, mainly because I don't know how to ride a bike. I've never been taught. Now I don't know whether it's my two truths and a lie. I'm not the greatest swimmer, and I think I'm done running. But apparently, you're training for an Ironman. You look good, Neal, in this photo.
Hey, I think those might actually be my legs, so I very much appreciate the picture.
Yeah, it may not be the head, but it's definitely the legs. So how many Ironmen have you done?
So the backstory in Ironman is about a year and a half ago, I went to an Ironman as a spectator. And first of all, the first 100 or so people that finish these events are just machines of humans. It is so impressive, their athleticness. They're just amazing. And I thought that was cool. But I was there for the day to watch the entire event. And I started to really pay attention to like the back 1,000 people. And I was enamored by how people come in all shapes and sizes. There are short people, there are fat people, there are super skinny people, there's people that are 6'8". There's just the dedication and the resilience and the capabilities of those people. I was like, you know what? I think I want to understand what that actually is like. And I honestly, to be honest, just did not know what I was getting into when I started to do it. But then I made the commitment. I got a coach. Shout out to Leah Jansen, my endurance coach, and started training January this year. About 6 weeks ago, I completed my first Ironman, my 70.3, which is a 1.5 mile swim, bike 56 miles, and then run a half marathon, 12.1 miles. And in about 3 weeks, I will participate in my first full Ironman, which is in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and is a 2.5 mile swim, 116-mile bike, and a marathon, 26.4 miles, which has to be completed in less than 16.5 hours.
Well, I'll tell you, if any of that was even remotely true, I am in awe. I am not worthy. And for those of you that are wondering which is the lie, to me, they all seem completely authentic and believable. You just have to go to the URL that I will put up. And as I said, you may just win something special. Maybe it's something from Neal, maybe it's something from me. This has been Two Truths and a Lie.
Two truths and a lie, can you guess which is which? Tune and lean and don't you dare miss a pitch. It's Joseph Jack, not famous, but you'll see. We twist, we turn in search of reality.